Yo guys, what's up? It's your boy Dave here, the open source gangster. So the Nexus 5 and the HTC One are both great devices, but which one is better for you? Let's do a comparison for both of them and see what happens. Let's get to it. Alright guys, so we are here with two absolutely great devices, the Nexus 5 and the HTC One. Now before we start this comparison, let me just say that I use both devices extensively. I have used the HTC One for the past 5 months, and I recently got the Nexus 5, and I've been loving it. So both of these devices I truly think are great, and both of them I love. So just so you know, there's not going to be any bias towards any one of them, because I think both of these are truly great devices. So now let's get to this comparison. Alright, so first thing first is the build quality. Now I think we can all agree who the clear winner here will be, but let's just take a look at both these devices. So the HTC One is probably the clear winner when it comes to build quality. What makes the HTC One so sexy is the aluminum backing, the edges, even in detail in the edges too, and the curves, and like I said, really just nice aluminum backing. I keep wanting to say aluminium, but aluminum backing, and just the overall detail with this device makes it just very, very sexy. I mean, this device is just sexy. Nothing else can be said more about it. Even the speaker grill on the top and bottom, like I said, both of which look really neatly placed. The only thing I hate about the HTC One is the passive touch buttons. I just absolutely cannot stand them because they're just there and it just sticks out to me. But that's just my opinion. But overall, like I said, the HTC One's a really neatly built device. Now we have the Nexus 5. Now, don't get me wrong, the Nexus 5 doesn't feel cheap. It just doesn't feel as premium as the HTC One does. The back is made of a soft touch material, and the best way to describe soft touch is it's like plastic, but it's not plastic. Like, it feels, you would think it's, I don't know how to describe it. It's soft touch. I mean, when you feel it, it's soft. It's like a soft backing. It doesn't necessarily scratch easily. I know someone was asking that in my previous unboxing videos. It doesn't scratch easily unless you really try to scratch it, but it has a nice soft touch back. It's very grippy, which I do like, unlike the HTC One, which can easily slip out your hand. This is very grippy, it's easy to grip onto. On the bottom, you do have speaker grills. Now don't be fooled, these are not stereo speakers. It's really one speaker and just two grills, and I'll explain more on that a little later. So on the back, on the HTC One, you have a 4 megapixel ultra camera, and on the Nexus 5, you have an 8 megapixel rear camera. On the front, the HTC One has a 2.1 megapixel front facing camera, and Nexus 5 has a 1.3 megapixel front facing camera. Alright, now let's talk about the display. The Nexus 5 features a 4.95 inch 1080p True HD IPS display, while the HTC One features a 4.7 inch 1080p display. So what this means in terms of actual quality, the Nexus 5 display is truly vibrant, and I don't know if you could tell through the camera, but look at the display, it's just amazing. I mean, there's no other words about this. Alright, so I'm playing a video from YouTube, Big Buck Bunny, one of my favorite short animations, and as you see, the display in both these are very different. They differ a lot. Now, I would say the Nexus 5 screen, as far as colors, do look slightly washed out, and that's what a lot of people have been saying. I have the HTC One right there. Now we have the Nexus 5. Alright, and just another display comparison. This photo was taken from my DSLR. And as you can see, once again, like I said on the HTC One, slightly more contrast where the Nexus 5, a little more washed out. That's pretty much the display on both these devices. Like I said, they're really good. It's all about personal preference. Alright, now to sound. Now, like I mentioned before, the HTC One has two front-facing speakers, which honestly produce some of the best high-quality sound that a mobile device could output, honestly. Like, there's nothing that beats these speakers. And this is probably another comparison where we know hands down who's going to win, but let's just give it a shot. And this is another sound comparison for you. Alright. So the Nexus 5 tries hard to keep up with the HTC One, but like I said, the HTC One, just the speakers on it just can't be beat. I mean, they're, for a mobile device, has one of the best sounding speakers. Alright, so next on our list is benchmarks. So for the first benchmark, we're going to be using the popular Antutu benchmark. So they're both updated to the latest version. Let's go to test. So we're going to be doing this benchmark on the popular Antutu benchmark. So just to mention, the Nexus 5 has a quad-core Snapdragon 800 processor clocked at 2.3 GHz, while the HTC One features a quad-core Snapdragon 600 processor clocked at 1.7 GHz. So the quad-core Snapdragon 800 found in the Nexus 5 is right now one of the most powerful and beefiest mobile processors out there, besides Apple's A7 and their iPhone 5S. This is, like I said, one of the most powerful Android processors that you can find, and processors in general, mobile processors. So it's really good. Just here, once again, the scores on the HTC One at 26,240 and the Nexus 5, 26,559. And this is surprising because considering that the Nexus 5 has a Snapdragon 800 processor, I expected kind of significantly higher results. But rather, it's only about a 300 point marginal difference. So yeah, somewhat surprising. So for our second graphics test, we're going to use the mobile benchmark 3D Mark. And it's a really powerful graphics benchmark, and we're running Ice Storm Unlimited on both of them, so it's the most powerful and most intensive testing unit that we can use. Alright, and our results are in. For the Nexus 5, we scored 14,070, and for the HTC One, 10,676. So as you can see, as far as in this benchmark, a more graphic intensive benchmark, we see a greater difference between the two processors. So as far as real world performance, what this means is that pretty much any game on any device that you play is going to run smoothly, like I said. Whether it's the Nexus 5 or the HTC One, gameplay is going to be extremely smooth on both of the devices. So oddly enough, I still prefer the Overwatch display on the Nexus 5, but as far as gameplay is concerned, like I mentioned, no matter what device you use, you really would not have issues playing any of the latest games. Both are more than capable. Alright, now time to test the camera on both devices. Right now I'm recording a 1080p video from the Nexus 5, and as you can see, it's pretty, from the viewfinder, it looks alright. And I'm also going to throw in a bunch of pictures just so you can compare for yourself and see for yourself which one is better. The focus on the Nexus 5, my only issue is a little slow. And that's kind of an issue with the Nexus 5. There we go, almost in focus, almost in focus. So like I said, the focus is a little slow when it comes to Nexus 5. Alright, and here we go, a 1080p video from the HTC One. Again, let's actually put this phone back in focus there. Perfect. Now from the viewfinder, this video does look brighter than the Nexus 5, so I'm wondering how it's going to look in post. Just can't get focus on that. Alright, now let's talk about software. So the Nexus 5 is running Android KitKat, latest version of Android 4.4 KitKat, while the HTC One is running Android 4.3 Jelly Bean, which is next latest version of Android. The HTC One has Sense 5.5, which actually, in my opinion, helps it more than hurts it. So overall, I think with Sense, in my opinion, Sense is really lightweight compared to what it used to be. And my big thing, which I love with Sense, is the fact that it integrates with social networks. You can add multiple social networks with HTC Sense and make it compatible all around the system. So for example, your contacts, you can have your contact photos come from Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Google+, etc. And it's very oriented. You can sync your notes with Evernote, and you can even see your online storage via Google Drive or Dropbox in your storage area. And it adds a lot of cool features for the consumer. Your average, everyday, non-techie consumer will love HTC Sense because it just gives you so many cool things, and it goes nicely with the phone. In addition, even your camera app. One thing I love of Sense 5.5 is the camera app. This is, in my opinion, 20 times better than stock camera app on Android because of the fact it gives you so many features. It's neatly laid out. You have a lot right here. You can mess with settings over here. Then in addition, you have your filters neatly on the bottom where you can scroll through. And then your picture and video, it's just one touch away. That's a big thing. And how could I forget the gallery app? The gallery app, what I absolutely love is the fact that you can see not only photos that you took from your own camera shots, but you can also see photos from your Drive, Google Drive, your Dropbox, Facebook photos, your friends. I mean, pretty much any social network that you have connected, you can view them via your gallery app. And that's just something where HTC has went out and made this device and made Sense 5.5 more versatile and not just oriented towards one network. Alright, so now we get to the Nexus 5. Now, like I said, Nexus 5 is running stock Android 4.4. So what this means is that, number one, it's pure Android. No carrier bloatware, no extra unneeded apps, nothing you really can't install. It's all pure Android. So if you're an Android purist, you're going to love this. Now, what's new Android KitKat is you can swipe to the left and you get Google Now. So how on the HTC One you get blank feed, one here you get Google Now. And in addition, we have a new launcher. So you can take an object, drag it down, put it there, drag it over, create a home screen. You have unlimited home screens, which I like. So you can add as many home screens with this new launcher as you want. So it's very easy to use. If you want the most fluid, responsive experience on Android, go with the Nexus 5 because stock Android, there's nothing that beats stock Android in terms of speed, performance, and fluidity. Stock Android's hands down the best there is when it comes to that. However, what I don't like about stock Android is that it's so Google Plus oriented. It really makes it difficult for me to kind of keep everything organized and sync like I could on my HTC One. What I do like with stock Android is the fact that I get the speed and I get the ability to pretty much change whatever I want, and I don't get all the carrier bloat and everything else. And even with some things with Sense that I don't like, I don't have to deal with that on the Nexus 5. Alright, the final point to talk about is battery. Now, I only had the Nexus 5 for 2 days so far, so I really can't comment about battery life yet. So let's first talk about the HTC One. The HTC One on moderate to maybe little heavy usage will make you throughout a day. I would definitely say on moderate usage, the HTC One battery will last you throughout a day, or at least an 8-hour period, in my experience. But once again, it depends on how much you use your device. The Nexus 5, the battery is, I would say, on par with the HTC One. Right now, I've been using my phone all day today for 10 hours. Now, I've been kind of using moderate to light usage, 10 hours off the charger, I haven't placed back on charger, with 2-hour screen on time, and I'm at 20% battery left. Let's go right here. Yeah, I'm at 20%, or actually, here we go, 19% battery. And I feel like this will be on par with what I would see on my HTC One. Ignore this right here, history thing, that's actually wrong. Alright guys, so this has been a comparison between the Nexus 5 and the HTC One. Now, I didn't really mention all the specs of both these devices, just so I didn't have to bore you. But if you want to see the specs of both these devices, full specs and whatever, I'll provide the links in the description below so you can read them and check them out for yourself. But hopefully this comparison kind of shed light onto the actual experience of using both devices and which one might be better suited towards you. Now, the Nexus 5, you can own completely off contract for $350. That's the best phone $350 will buy. Honestly, it's the Nexus 5. It's definitely 100% worth it. If you're someone who uses off contract devices a lot, then the Nexus 5 is definitely for you. Meanwhile, the HTC One off contract price is around $500 give or take. So obviously both these devices have two different price points, which help explain the differences between them. To keep it cheap, Google and LG definitely had to cut corners, whereas with HTC, they had more room to expand because they really want to make a flagship device. So like I said, the final decision is really up to you which one you prefer. They're both great devices and I would recommend both of them. So guys, thanks for watching and stay tuned for some more guides and videos. Thanks.